Hey everyone, I hope you've had a great day so far and that you're doing well. For this video, we'll be going through an unboxing of the 2022 Starter Commander deck, the Chaos Incarnate deck. And this particular Starter Commander deck, as I mentioned, is part of the 2022 Starter Commander deck release. All from Magic the Gathering, released, coincidentally enough, in 2022. Albeit the tail end of 2022. So going through the remaining Starter Commander decks, with the next one off the pile being Chaos Incarnate, and this is a black and red deck. So previously looked at Grave Danger, which was blue and black. Now this particular deck is black and red. So this one could be very interesting. On the front, we just have an image of what the commander card will be. Carder, Doomscourge. Some type of demon berserker. Very interesting. So we have that. So that's the front of the box. Being a starter commander, it's not like a set commander. It is a bit cheaper, a bit smaller. There's a few less things in there, but overall it's still enough to facilitate pretty much quick play with the commander deck rules. So welcome to Commander. So it's pretty much a specific format, and then here we have just a blurb about Carder, the Doomscourge, which is very nice, and then we just have a rough breakdown of what is included. So now that we've had a look at the outside of the box, time to open up the box and have a look inside. And inside the box, so going from basic to the deck itself. So the actual card insert from the commander deck does have some of these little push-out cardboard tokens, 6 in total. So before you dispose of this little insert, make sure you grab those. And just to prove a point, that's obviously the front of the insert that we see from the front of the packaging. The card deck box, which I have put together, it actually does come flat packed for ease of packaging, hence why the commander deck is smaller. So it's fairly straightforward and simple, just a bit of a cardboard design with the usual Magic logos around the box. Being a black and a red deck, you do see the two colors thematically throughout the box and just inside. So I'll be obviously using that later on. Before we get to the cards, we do have the insert, which I will open up off screen. Now, I'm wondering if it's going to be... interesting. Okay, so here's one side of the reference sheet with a nice shot of Carder and a bit of a blurb about him as well. So he's the commander of this particular deck, and just your usual secret layer and stuff like that on the other side. So that's one side of it. And then on the other side, some information about the Chaos Incarnate deck itself, as well as the commander rules. So when I did the Grave Danger unboxing, particularly for the little strategy insert, so one side was correct for the actual deck, but the other side was completely misprinted. So I'd imagine Grave Danger should have actually had part of it with the actual image of the commander here. So yes, that was very interesting. So that is the insert, which I will now put away. Yeah, as for the cards. So, standard reference card, which is, as I said, standard. We have the double-sided cards, to which there should be 10 of them. So, what do we have? And the zombies appear yet again. Then again, it is a black and a red deck, so that was one side. In terms of the other side, I think the ogre is new. I don't recall seeing it in the previous deck. So basically every time there's an ogre, there's a zombie. The demon card seems to be the same back and front, as is this Orb Nixless Reignited. Interesting. So the only real double-sided cards have been the ogre and the zombie. So that was the double-sided cards. Now before I go through the deck, so I did know that the actual commander was there. So that's the actual commander card itself. Looking very nice. Definitely foil etched. So very cool. Kind of reminds me of a Incarnate demon. Not foreshadowing the 40k ones. So there's the command deck, or commander card, sorry. Now I'm going to try and do this in reverse. See if I can find the lands. Oh gosh. Okay. In terms of the lands being black and red, so we've actually seen some of these if you've looked at the Grave Danger one. So we have two different basic lands for swamps. Some very nice images. One being interesting, well, well I guess that is a natural swamp, and the other one's another view of a swampland. So that's all the black ones. In fact, it's very black heavy. So those are blacks. Now the red ones will be new. So basic land, mountain. So those are the two designs for those. Very nice. And then we get a combination of those two throughout. At some point in time I do want to count how many of each lands there are, but it does feel like there was more black than red, which was the same for Grave Danger. I actually thought it would be an exact 1-to-1 for each, but I believe there was more black than red. Now, as for the rest of the commander deck, I'm going to do this weirdly, and I'm actually going to do this all in reverse. Mainly because it just makes it easier putting the cards together, because ordering, even though I really shouldn't care about it. Anyway, here we go. So we're going to be starting with pretty much the commons and the uncommons to begin with. Myriad Landscape. Interesting so far. Molten Slaggy. Command Tower. So these are some of the special, well, the not basic lands. Feels very red, even though they're supposed to be combos. So that's the lands now, moving into the artifacts. Interesting to see who the actual Planeswalker will be, if there is one in this deck. At some point in time, what I should actually do is I should actually count the type of different card types when I post things to Instagram. Artifact creature. Yep, instant. Unlicensed disintegration, because, you know, of course, destroy target creature. If you control an artifact, unlicensed disintegration deals 3 damage to that creature's controller. I'd stand back if I were you. Indeed. So these probably seem to be some instant cards. That's an interesting one. Rakdos Charm. Another instant. Thermo Alchemist. Interesting combination. And I think we're just moving into the standard cards of the deck. Maybe not. Hate Mirage, Sorcery. Interesting. I feel like we're actually looking through some of the specific red cards at the moment. Yeah, it seems to be a combination of creatures and sorcery. The artwork definitely isn't too bad, but it's not grabbing me like the previous deck did. Are we now moving into the blacks? Maybe we are. I think we are. The red component of the deck actually did feel quite small. Could explain the ratio of the black lands to the red lands. Read the bones. Supposed to roll the bones. So these are still commons and uncommons. And now we're moving into the rares. Temple of Malice. So they seem to be rare lands. Possibly? Yes. Rare artifacts, I would imagine. Yep. Enchantment, Theatre of Horrors. As always, overall, the artwork is always still very nice for Magic. What is this? Creature Humanite, Stormfist Crusader. Still rare. Spiteful Visions. Legendary Creature, Human Shaman, another rare. The red cards, I will say, definitely typical red theme, which is good. Not grabbing me as much as some of the black cards have though. Still in some rares. Another legendary creature. I hope there's a Planeswalker in here, but I'm not going to count on it. Fiery Confluence. Artifact creature. Reminds me of one of the factions from War Machine. Chaos War. A creature goblin? You hit like a kobold. Yes, well. That's because they're worried about their candles. Blasphemous Act. Titan Hunter. Looks like we're moving into the rare blacks. Sangromancer. Creature, Vampire Shaman. Creature, Cat Demon. Very interesting deck so far. Profane Command. Still in the rares. Legendary Planeswalker Nixilis. Oh, so there you go. In fact, he's a mythic. So we do get a Planeswalker. There you go. At some point in time I will understand the impact of some of those cards. back to some rares. So it looks like we just have the one mythic card in the set deck. Set deck. Deadly Tempest. And that is it. Archfiend of Depravity. What an interesting way to finish off the deck. So, just straighten these cards out. So that was a nice little walkthrough of the deck itself. Right. Just to put them together because I can. Just realized everything is terribly out of view. That's somewhat better. So that brings us to the end of the unboxing of the Chaos Incarnate 2022 Starter Commander deck. Very interesting deck, being a combination of black and red. Not a bad looking deck, but of the two that I've seen so far, I think the Grave Danger deck is definitely going to be my number one preference, but it's definitely a lot of potential, and I guess if I knew how to play the commander decks properly, I'd have a better understanding of how the deck is and what its full capabilities are. There's still 3 more commander decks to look at, so they'll be coming up in the near future. Thank you very much for watching this unboxing video. Feel free to leave a like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed the content. All of this does help support the channel, and I'd really appreciate it. Extra content can also be found on my Instagram account, link in the description below. Stay safe and take care, and I will catch you all in a future video, whether it's some more magic or something else on the channel. See ya.